want to use your frequent flyer points in 2025 to fly first class, then this video is made for you. In today's video, I'm going to talk about my experience booking first class with frequent flyer points and also the lessons that I've learned so that hopefully you can also fly first class too. Last year, I booked my first class booking and I used Qantas Points to do so. It was an amazing experience right from the get-go, and I actually rocked up to the airport about 5 hours earlier than my departing flight because I was so excited. Now, usually check-in for your flight doesn't even open till about 3 to 4 hours prior, but they allow me to check in nice and early, and I made my way immediately to the Qantas first class lounge in Los Angeles. Personally, I don't rate business class lounges, and all of the ones that I've been into all around the world are pretty meh, but the Qantas first class lounge in Los Angeles was something else. When I first arrived, they gave me this private boardroom which had like a really cool seating area and a desk and like a TV on the wall. Not everyone gets those things, but they offered it to me, and I think if you do get to go to a first class lounge, you can request if they do have any private meeting rooms available. From here, the service was amazing. They would come in and check in with me about every 15 minutes or so. It wasn't too frequently where I would get annoyed at them for coming in too much, but it also wasn't slow enough for me to be sitting there waiting and wondering where they were. It was just the right amount of service. But if there was some sort of problem, you're always welcome to get up, go out of that room, and they have a huge buffet on offer there. And then you can also talk to the staff and request meals. The food in business class lounges are usually very average, but the first class lounges, those ones are amazing. I had steak and an ice cream sundae, and they had lots of different foods that you can request. And there's unlimited alcohol as well, but I wasn't drinking at the time. The flight that I actually booked was Los Angeles to Sydney. To be honest, the food on the plane was pretty average. At the end of the day, it's still airline food. But the main reason I wanted to fly first class was because of the bed. The bed in first class is a big upgrade to business class. In business class, it's sort of like a little nook. It's comfortable, but it is very tight. I've got fairly big shoulders and I am pretty tall, so it is very cushy in business class. But with first class, the closest thing that I could say it's equivalent to would be sleeping in a single bed. The seat is massive and you get plenty of room, and when it transforms into a bed, it literally does feel like you are sleeping in a single bed. That flight cost me about 162,000 Qantas points plus about $300 in taxes in addition to the points, but I would happily do it all over again. It's one of those things where if you don't fly first class, you don't know what you're missing out on, but if you do get the chance to fly there, your brain is going to suddenly think, how can I do this every single time I travel? Well, that is what we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to share all of the tips and tricks that I would recommend for you if you do want to use your points to fly first class. To start, the truth is now that flying on Qantas from Sydney to America or America to Sydney in first class is very, very difficult. For some reason, Qantas are releasing very few first class reward seats now on this route. You can still jag the rare one here and there, but you are going to have to get that very last minute. When I say last minute, I'm talking about within a few days from departure. I think the reason Qantas are holding out is they're probably trying to maximize profits, so they're only offering these first class reward seats on this route now if they know that they're not going to sell that seat. My recommendation if you are flying this route would be to book a business class seat as your first preference, and then just keep an eye out in the coming weeks and days leading up to your flight to see if they release any first class seats. Now, just because Qantas have reduced the amount of first class reward seats on this route doesn't mean that other routes isn't possible to fly first class. I've helped book some of my friends in first class getting to Japan and also getting to Johannesburg. So the first tip that I would recommend is understanding which routes actually have a first class cabin. Now, it's one thing to know all of the routes that Qantas flies first class on, but there's also another thing to understand the probability of jagging a first class reward seat on that route. For example, the odds of getting a reward seat in first class from Sydney to London, I would say, is next to impossible. The routes that I would put my effort into finding a first class reward seat on would be Sydney to Tokyo, Sydney to Johannesburg, Sydney to Auckland, Sydney to Los Angeles, maybe. You can then also use Qantas partners to fly in their first class cabins. For example, Sydney to Singapore on Emirates or British Air, or you could go Sydney to Dubai on Emirates. Something to note is that Emirates first class on most of their routes have extremely high taxes that you pay in addition to the points. This means you're going to end up spending about 170,000 points flying from Sydney to Dubai, and the taxes in addition to the points that you're going to pay are roughly $1,000 to $1,500. That is a lot of money in addition to the points that you are spending, but if first class has been a bucket list thing for you, it's probably worth it. Now, another thing that we can do in order to increase our chances at actually flying first class would be to earn membership points. Qantas only have so much availability in their first class cabins, but if you're able to earn membership points that can be transferred to lots of different airline partners, then you can increase your chances at actually flying first class. For example, I personally earn Amex Platinum membership points, so I can transfer those points to Virgin, to Qantas, and I can also transfer them to Singapore Airlines to book their first class product, or I can book Emirates, their first class product, Qatar, their first class product, Etihad, and their first class product. Now, the third thing would be once you actually have membership points and you can use all these different airlines, you want to be able to search them all in one place. And the way that I do that is through a website called seats.aero. Seats.aero is this website that pretty much captures all of the data from all these different websites and gives it to you in one nice place. I personally use seats.aero every time I am planning a trip. If you want more tips like this, be sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm posting a lot more frequently on there as well. And if you like this sort of content, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so I know that these sort of videos are helping you. If you have any requests on videos you'd like me to talk about, please leave a comment. But other than that, I will see you in the next video.